Welcome to the DL Gaming Podcast. We're adding games both new and old to your backlog, one slightly inappropriate episode at a time. My name is Amanda, and I am so high on life right now. Joining me today is Christian.
You already made that joke. It's hard to play typing games when all 104 keys on my keyboard are the letter P.
And Taylor.
Armed with only a knife, I'm here to save the world.
Wow, super serious.
That's a good one. All right, well, this week we're going to be talking about High on Life 2, Slay the Princess, and Dead Letter Department. But first, super long wait.
It came
finally
nice.
Forever.
In the second half
it.
from the behind.
What's new with you guys?
So on a comment, but one of our older pieces of social media content, which is a Kenshi video, and Nick sort of famously said about Kenshi, it's like when you overdose on drugs, but then the Narcan kicks in. And everyone loved it. Everyone was like, yes, that's exactly what this game is. Way to describe it in the most weird way possible. A guy commented on that post and he said, I wrote a story called The Coin is Older Than the Road on my Substack called Stephen Bode. And it's just a very awkward comment to randomly leave on a random social media piece of content. So I checked out this story and I loved it. It's quite long. It is about the game Kenshi, and it reminds me of back in the day. I used to write these after action reports for my medieval Total War II campaigns, and I used to get real into them, right? Like first person perspective of the character that was the leader of my faction at the time, who he liked, who he didn't like. I used to get really into it. And it was so fun to write. And these would be pages and pages and pages of writing. And I think in this new era that is a little bit rarer to come across, people might do video essays, or, people have podcasts where they talk about their experience playing games. Who listens to those, right? But I had a great time reading this short story about this guy's experience playing Kenshi. It's totally in world. It's about the experience of his character. It's role played. And I want to link it on our episode, and maybe you'll like it too. This kind of goes back to what I was talking about a couple weeks ago, where the internet used to be a place, right? And now it's a place where people have Substacks of their after action reports, perhaps. And that's beautiful. So yeah, that's what's new with me.
I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
What's new with you, Taylor?
So what's new with me is I just was reading yesterday some news that Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond, who were in charge of the Xbox division at Microsoft, are leaving Xbox. And they're going to get replaced with a woman named Asha Sharma, who is the current president of Microsoft Core AI. To me, this news is kind of disappointing because Phil was like a true gamer, and he's the guy who ushered in Game Pass, along with a lot of kind of consumer first products and policies. Like, I felt like he was truly passionate about gaming.
Right. Xbox multi-platform, Xbox Anywhere. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So hopefully this Asha person and Microsoft managed to turn the Xbox platform around, maintain some of this consumer first stuff. And please, if you're listening, don't insert a bunch of AI nonsense into my gaming. Game Pass remains one of my most used sources for playing games these days. And it's still pretty much the best deal in gaming, even with the recent price hikes. So let's see what happens. But I'm just really hopeful that they don't end up kind of corporatizing it too much.
What was I using? I think it was ClickUp I was using. And it's like, do you want your AI? I was like, what? When would I ever need AI? Like, in what world, bro, would I need an AI?
Right.
And everything has like an AI agent in it now, and they're so rarely helpful.
I'm just waiting for the Xbox app on my computer. I'm going to load it up for Game Pass, and it's going to be like, Hi there. Can I assist you in finding a game to play today?
Yeah. I'm feeling a bit melancholy, AI assistant. Can you suggest a game for me? Yeah. Yeah. It's
Steam, don't do it. Don't do it, Steam.
I
I don't
can't.
want them to add any
It's
AI.
kind of like it's the last frontier where there's no AI of the systems that I regularly use on the computer. It's really the last one that doesn't have some sort of annoying thing popping up and some agentic way to help me find something.
Even my new I just got a new job, and we use an app at work to like look up products and figure out where they are in the store, how many are in stock, etc. And it has a built-in AI agent as well that you have to use. So it's like I'll take a photograph of a barcode, and then that will pop up, what that item is and where it is in the store and all this. And it's like I'm being forced to use it all the time.
Yeah. Nice. Integrated systems. We love it. What's new with you, Amanda?
Love it. Well, what's new with me is I went to Fan Expo Vancouver. It reminded me a lot of like a Comic-Con. There were lots of comic book artists there, lots of artists in general, a lot of, they had the whole Hobbits. It was like, I think the 25-year anniversary of the Hobbits, of Lord of the Rings.
Of the Hobbits.
And so they had, of the Hobbits, yeah.
Of all the Hobbits.
I mean, there is like the, movie Hobbit and their trilogy and stuff, but this was the Lord of the Rings anniversary. And so they had Elijah Wood there, and like they had the four core hobbits.
The four core
Frodo.
Not all the hobbits. There wasn't Rosie. There wasn't Mr. Underhill. He wasn't there.
There was no Bilbo. No Smeagol. But there was Frodo, Sam, Pippin, and Merry. So that was nice. And then they had Faramir as well there. And so I didn't really get to
that short in real life.
They seem a bit on the shorter side. Okay. I really only got to see Pippin, and he was like talking while I was walking through, and it was packed. There were a lot of people here. There were like moments when I was walking through the exhibit where, in the different exhibits and like the different retail stores, where it was like I could not move. I felt like a cow in a cattle to slaughter thing, where I was like, I gotta go where the crowd's going because I can't move. I can't lift my arms. Yeah. And so there were moments like that. So it was pretty difficult sometimes to get content, but we did get, we got an interview, we got a quest of trying to find indie video games, and so feel free to check that out on YouTube. We did record that, but I wanted to mention something about Fan Expo that's not in that video. That's just for our listeners, and it was a really, really cool conversation. This
is just for you guys. Oh, I love that.
Just for you guys, yeah.
We're doing stuff special just for you.
Special stuff for our listeners. But I wasn't able to record it. But I mean, I guess so you're getting like kind of secondhand of what, this person said. But I had a conversation with John Gallagher, who is an artist for so many superheroes and video games. So like, I'm pretty sure he made the map for the original Baldur's Gate. He has done artwork for all the Baldur's Gates. He did artwork for Dragon Age as well. And I think had a hand he was the art director for BioWare.
Wow.
As well in the day. So he was super cool to talk to. But on top of that, like recently he did all of the art for The Boys on Amazon. And with the latest like season coming out, he's involved in that too. And so I had asked him quite a few things. He was like really down to earth, really, really nice, and had a lot to say. And it was such like a wholesome and awesome conversation. But one of the best things I took from it is that I had asked him like, what is his favorite thing to work on, both video games and movies? And he talked about how there are important principles he looks at, because he's been doing this since like the 80s.
A long
time. And so he had said that he's kind of got these principles that decide what kind of thing he's created is his favorite, or what project is his favorite. And that's usually when he's like genuinely excited about the IP and the content itself, which he really gravitates towards superheroes, sci-fi, and fantasy. It's he wants to make sure that the viewers are going to also actually be excited about it. That like the direction and the content that they're trying to work on together with the team is something that he thinks viewers will actually enjoy and appreciate. And he wants a really great team to work with. And I think that that's all like it kind of boils down to how a lot of us would
Yeah,
appreciate and
that
like
all
things that
makes
we work
sense.
on. Do we like our content? Do we think that people are going to enjoy the content? And do we like working with each other? That's always kind of what it boils down to, which is really nice. But he said that like this, I think season 5 of The Boys, like the newest season, like there's a season way out in the future that he is working on, and he said is the most exciting one. And he loved working with the team just all around. Like everybody was so awesome and great, and meeting so many of the people that are on the team of The Boys were just like fantastic, and he can't wait for that. So that's like super cool.
The Boys is
Um,
so good. I think it's
Yeah.
yeah.
season 3 when they do the like alt-right white nationalist sort
Uh-huh.
of angle, and they introduce Stormfront, and you don't know, or at least I didn't know, that she was evil for the first 2 episodes.
Yeah,
I think
they-
it's
they
not
kinda
super clear. But her
trick you
name
at
is
first.
literally Stormfront, which we should all know for being on the internet
Should have
as
been
like
obvious.
the worst place to go.
Yeah.
As an internet forum, back when forums were a thing, was this fucking vile, hot, like just the worst people online, all in the
It's like
same
they
place.
took all of the terrible people from 4chan and put them all in one place.
On
They did
Storm.
such a good
And
job.
I can't believe it went over my head. Like that's how good it was. Like I'm informed about these things, and I was like, oh, of course, like duh, yeah. Anyways, I love the Boys.
It was so cool. Yeah, and we were kind of brought to him because he's doing John Gallagher's doing this kind of mashup with the TransLink system in Vancouver, and they created with his art these new cards, and I have it here to show you guys. But like, look at how cool this is of Captain Canuck
So it's Captain
creating. And
Canuck on a train platform standing
Yep.
in front of one of the metro trains, and it looks awesome.
It looks so cool. This
Is
his artwork,
Captain
and it's
Canuck?
so
I've never heard
awesome.
of this guy. Is he better known outside of Canada, or is this like a local superhero?
I've
I
never
think
heard
it's
of him.
kind of so one of the panels that I did go to a panel with the creator of Captain Canuck and like listened and watched this because my partner and I are very fascinated by this.
Yeah.
It's essentially like a Canadian Captain America, kind of is like the way
Right.
that it
'Cause
seems to be a
Canada
one for
can't
one.
help copying our homework.
Well,
Exactly.
no, but
Yeah.
okay, but you know where they do it a lot better is that at least with Captain Canuck, there's a huge like integration and like kind of like team fighting that is indigenous. So like there's this focus on like indigenous peoples actually
Like
kind of
First
rising up against
Nations
stuff and First
heroes.
Nations, yeah, which is super nice to see and cool. And so, but yeah, Captain Canuck is this. It's a comic book. It's been going on since I think he made it in like the 70s. I think he
Yeah,
said.
you're right.
And
Totally. Yep.
and so they created a TV show. There's like a comic series online to watch it. They were saying that they actually have like a big chunk of Americans down in the United States that also follow and appreciate and love Captain Canuck as well too. So I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, it was just like this random awesome thing that kind of brought us to John Gallagher and been like, oh my God, he was the art director of BioWare and did all these video game artwork things. And so I
What a
think that
legend.
actually, that whole like path of how we found him and one of the most unique conversations I had the entire time really sums up Fan Expo, which was like is so random and chaotic, and there were so many awesome beautiful little moments as well. So it was very cool. That's what was new with me, and there was a lot of really cool exhibits. If you want to check it out, we did make a long form video on YouTube about some of the things, including an interview with Superman Elvis, which was pretty funny and pretty good. And so yeah, that's that. But you know what? This is a video game podcast. We're not talking about what's new. We're talking about what did we play? What did we play? What did you guys play? So we'll start with we'll start with you, Taylor.
Yeah. So this past week and a half, I was playing a game called Slay the Princess, which came out in 2023 and was like one of the biggest indie games of the year. Super
Yeah.
well reviewed. Like all the reviews I found on it were super like 9 out of 10s or even 10 out of 10 glowing recommendations. And it's a visual novel through and through. There's no real gameplay elements. You're seeing art on the screen. and then you have like dialogue choices that you can choose, and it involves looping through the same events multiple times.
Oh,
But
and we talked
each
about an example of a bad loop recently and how they're
Mhm.
hard to do. And I imagine they nailed it, probably.
They did, and
Yeah.
like each
Oh,
loop
good.
is slightly different from the last one, up and sometimes even majorly different. Like, but the core conceit is the same. You standing in the woods, and a narrator is telling you, up ahead is a cabin. In the cabin is a princess. You need to slay the princess to save the world. And then you make your way up into the cabin. And once you walk inside, there's a knife on a table, and you can either pick up the knife or leave it there. And then you head down into the basement where the princess is chained to a wall. And then that's where it goes from there. You start to make your decisions on,
Oh,
are you going
man.
to slay
That's
her?
so interesting. I
Um,
love
Wow.
that.
you can talk to the princess beforehand, to hear her side of things, but there's always the narrator with you who narrates what's going on, as well as talks directly to you. You know, like if you start to talk to the princess instead of immediately slaying her, the narrator pops in and he's like, this isn't going to go well. Don't listen to a thing she says. She's going to cheat. She's going to lie. She's going to do everything in her power to have you release her. And remember, the world will end if you don't do this.
Oh, man. I'm
That's so
okay.
crazy.
I don't even want to interrupt anymore. I just want to hear more about your experience with this game
Yeah.
because to me, this
Yeah.
is so interesting.
So what's really cool is, well, spoilers for Slay the Princess. Every time that you go to slay her, you end up dying in some
Oh.
form or fashion. So, like,
Okay.
my very first time, I decided to go with what the narrator was telling me to do, and so I go down to the basement. I've got my dagger, and the princess starts trying to talk to me, and I'm like, nope, I gotta save the world. So I immediately go to slay her, and so my character walks forward, and I stab her, but it turns out she had a hidden knife in her sleeve, and while I'm stabbing her, she slit my throat. So then we fall down to the ground. We're looking in each other's eyes as we both bleed out and die.
Oh my God. That's so crazy. That's cool.
Yeah. And so after I died, it goes back, resets, and now I'm standing in the woods again, but they look slightly different. The narrator starts his whole exact same spiel, and I make my way to the cabin again and take the knife. This time I decide I'm going to talk to the princess first and learn more about what's going on with her. But now the cabin looks kind of like all the boards are warped, and there's a mirror on the wall that the narrator doesn't acknowledge as being there. And if you bring it up, the narrator's like, "What mirror? There's no mirror there." And so it starts getting mysterious. I go down to the basement again, and the princess remembers that I killed her last time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like, so she's
That's-
she's pretending that she doesn't remember, but she looks different, and she's like she's already standing up and
I think I want to do a
back.
PSA to everyone. By the way, I can't not hear Taylor. I am in this podcast with Taylor. I'm locked in the room with Taylor, and I'm enjoying what he's saying. But if you are out there and this is interesting to you, maybe stop. Maybe stop and download Slay the Princess right now. Because, okay, and sorry, with that PSA, sorry.
Anyway, she's got her hands behind her back and is obviously suspicious. And she starts out by like pretending that she doesn't know or remember. But as the conversation goes on, she says things like, "Oh no, are you here to slay me? Like, because certainly that's never happened before. I definitely don't remember you stabbing me in the heart." And so our conversation goes, and she's obviously hostile to me now. and I end up trying to like get her to take her hands out from behind her back. She's got nothing, so I'm like, oh, okay, good, I'm safe this time. And what also happened in the second run is I got another voice in my head called the voice of the hunter. And so it's like an internal voice who is also talking to me. So I end up getting the voice of so there's the narrator who does not remember that this has happened before. Then I've got the voice of the hero and the voice of the hunter, and they both have their own opinions on what's going on. So I get through and try to slay the princess again, but before I even get the chance, literally her arms, the meat of her arms sloughs off, and she's got swords for arms now, and she just comes and chops me the fuck up.
Dinner
That's
time.
crazy.
Right. So then I die, reset back. Everything's different. Everything's even more jaggedy than before. I make my way to the cabin, which is even all worse looking now. Go downstairs, and then the princess is there, and I say like 2 words to her, and then she literally like starts to transform. Her whole body, all the flesh of her body falls off, and she turns into a being made entirely of swords. And obviously, I stood no chance with my dagger.
That's her final form.
I'm trying to like parry, and eventually I die. And so after my third death, instead of going back to the woods, I go to this place called the long quiet. And in the long quiet, it kind of starts the same. It's with the narrator telling you you're somewhere. You can move towards the cabin, even though the screen is black. You move towards the cabin, and it's just there floating in space. You go, but as you go forward, there's this ginormous, like amorphous being that is there, and you can talk to her, ask questions. It's not the princess, but some other kind of female being. And they're like, I don't know what I am yet. I need more perspectives. Will you bring me more perspectives? And I agree. And this then sets me back to the beginning, where I'm now standing in front of the cabin again. And it's back to normal. So I go through again, and then this time maybe I don't pick up the knife, and I just go downstairs to have a conversation with the princess, and she doesn't remember anything that's happened at this point. And so this is like every set or like round is like 3 chapters or 3 repeats before you go back to this long quiet. And then you restart again where she doesn't remember. And by making different choices, like picking up the knife or not, or asking the princess different questions in conversation, it will change what route that you're on and what the princess ends up happening. So like there was a ghost princess at one point. There was one where she is like a horror beast, like with all these like tentacle arms and stuff. And so you get to see all these various different versions of the princess, including one that was an actual god. And they end up each time after you get through your third route, you head back to this long quiet, and each time the princess dies, it counts as another perspective for this being.
So what's this game about, Taylor? Did you beat it? Like, did you ever find out, oh, this is what they're saying? Or is it just a really good story game?
So, yeah, at first I had no idea what it was about. And as I made my way through multiple times getting to that long quiet place, I begin to find out that this being that I'm talking to is like essentially the god of change. and I am also a god of some kind, and we are like the narrator turns out to be some kind of like other being who created like this uh simulation thing that you're in. And outside of your simulation thing, there is a real world that's kind of at the end point. It's like going to experience the heat death of the universe or something soon. And the narrator wants you to like kill the god of change so that way no one ever dies again. Where or you can make the choice to like accept this princess and move forward together with her, and the universe will die, but it will restart again. Or you can decide not to and like slay that version, and death is no longer a thing and change is no longer a thing. So it really brings up these questions of like, what is the value of change, like, and death? Like, is that something? Is a world with no change and no death worse than dying, or what? And on top of all of that, it's like also a love story between you and this being, and you go through all this adversity together, and you've been working together to gain perspectives and as a result you end up getting really close with one another, and you can find love with because you're the only two beings in this world, and so you can make that connection and try to fall in love with her. um,
I'm guessing you think this deserves the 97% overwhelmingly positive on Steam.
I do. Yeah.
It sounds like one of the best games ever made.
It truly is amazing. Like, one, it causes you, or it really makes you think about these kind of heady concepts, which a lot of games don't. And I've got to really give them props for their art. All the art is this hand drawn art, and the full game is voice acted. Literally every line is voice acted, from the narrator, the princess, to the voices of the hero and your other internal voices. And the voice acting is really well done. So having it all like wrapped up into this love story, wrapped up into these ideas of like what is the value of change, all of that just affected me both emotionally and on top of like causing me to really consider like the consequences of my actions. And so yeah, it is 100% worth that 9 out of 10 review, and I highly recommend it. And I technically did beat it, but there are even more routes to see. You don't have to complete every single route. So there's replayability there in terms of you can beat the game and then go back to, there's a gallery to look at, and the gallery will give you slight hints on how to unlock the remaining routes. And so I still have to do that. I want to go through and see each version of the princess.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Awesome. I feel like we haven't had a segment like that in a long time, where like I feel blown away by what someone is telling me about a game and I want to play it so bad.
Yeah. No,
Cool.
It totally deserves all those glowing reviews. It definitely must have been one of the best games of 2023. And it's a true indie game. It's made by like 2 people over the course of a year. And just amazing what they managed to accomplish, and including full voice acting on top of that. It's like, wow. For a game made in Ren'Py, this is just out of this world.
This is the bar. Do you hear that? Porn games, you can do better. Come on, elevate yourself. Awesome, dude. That's fucking great. I think I'm also going to be talking about an overwhelmingly positive game rated on Steam. It's called Dead Letter Department. I mean, someone has to follow Taylor, and I am following. Like, this game is not that game, right? But Dead Letter Department is a data entry mail horror game that reminds me of the worst job I've ever had. You're someone new to a spooky city, and you're kind of struggling. You're living in squalor, and luckily your friend gets you a job working at this Dead Letter Department where you take letters that they don't know where they should go because the writing is unclear, and you transcribe it to this AI system that then categorizes the letter and gets it to where it's supposed to be going.
So like you type in what you can make out from the poorly written thing, and then the AI manages to like extrapolate that out to what it should be.
And some of them are like accountant returns, like they're very technical. You can tell they're from like an official company going somewhere. Some of them are like children's scrawl, right? They're like a dinosaur to Santa or something. And you are you're writing this up, but then the letters kind of get a little more spooky. Like the writing gets sharp. It feels unsafe, the letters you're getting, and they also get a lot more personal. And you can scan the whole page that is sent to you on screen. And oftentimes in the margins, if you zoom in really closely, there's hidden messages that you are uncovering, and you realize, oh, this isn't, I'm not where I thought I was, right? I'm not geographically in the world, and I'm not working for who I think I'm working for, and something else is happening, and I'm not who I even thought I was at the beginning of the game. So it's very like this cerebral horror, and it reminds me of this insurance job I had that had this really old data system. Everything was on the keyboard. It was black and green, and you could only navigate by Control Tab and backslash tab. And I literally had Post-it notes around my entire monitor of all the shortcuts. And in this game, they have that too, because there's lots of easier ways that you can use your data system to transcribe the letters quicker. And they're on these Post-it notes around your monitor. And what ended up happening when I started to get good at this game is I'd be playing it and I sound like a waterfall because I'm using all these shortcuts, and obviously I'm typing up the letter itself, but I'm going to the next letter. I'm flipping the page up and down. I'm doing all these things, and I'm just nonstop typing. And I'm like, this is how I sounded when I worked at this insurance company at this data entry job, where I was very depressed.
Oh no.
If I can paint you a picture, dead silence in this insurance company floor, and only the waterboard sound of keyboards of all the data entry clerks doing insurance work is the only thing you could hear, like nonstop for 4 hours break, the rest 4 hours break, because we had a quota we had to fill.
Awful.
Yeah, and that's what this game is. A million words a minute, baby. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm transcribing. And this game is full of spooky tropes. There's like this mysterious door in your apartment, and you're like, I don't know where that goes. It's just locked. And I'm like, that's creepy, like stereotypically creepy. And so I kind of wanted to ask you guys, let's just see if we can guess what some of the other spooky tropes in this game might be. I've hidden them to you, and you tell me what comes to mind when I say spooky trope, and we'll see if it's in this game.
I think of like the phone ringing, and every time you pick it up, there's nobody on the other line, or there's heavy breathing, and like it just continues. Like it's like every, well, let's just say like 30 to 40 minutes it rings, and it's the same thing. Yeah.
So that would definitely be in this game, but because this game isn't centered around the phone, it's centered around the emails you get at work, and also all letters you get. Like you get personal letters to your house. You'll see your address. Hey, you haven't paid your car insurance. When are you going to do that? And in that letter, there are clues for where you are and what's happening, because there's all these hidden messages. So sorry, that's not in it, but
yeah, I wonder.
Similar.
Maybe a letter about asking if there is a loan shark coming because there's somebody standing outside their house staring into their window.
Oh,
that would be
okay.
creepy.
That would be creepy. Okay, Taylor.
I'm thinking like you get a letter that wasn't necessarily like addressed to you personally. But
Oh,
as you're reading through the letter, it becomes clear that it's really talking to you or
yep.
about you.
Yes, that is in this game for sure. Yep. Yep.
And then also, like, since you're working on a computer, maybe that something is taking over the computer,
Yep.
and hacked into it or something, and is messing with you through the computer.
Yeah. I didn't run. Yes, that is what sometimes you'll do stuff and something else will happen and it'll be like a story moment. And it'll also be frustrating because I'll be in the middle of my typing flow.
Uh,
And yeah, that's a spooky trope. That's definitely in here. Some of the other spooky tropes, you live in like this Soviet style, like really depressing apartment, and it's full of these long hallways you have to move through. And every door, you work a night shift, and every door you pass, you hear your neighbors doing things like eating supper at night. And as the game progresses, weirder things, your neighbors start doing weirder shit at night, and you're walking through these long hallways and you're basically just forced to listen to the weird shit on your way to work. That I feel like long hallways, that's a trope. Flickering lights, obviously at night on your way to work. Big buildings in the middle of nowhere. Is this just scary to me? Like a skyscraper in a field of wheat. To me, that's spooky.
Very creepy. Yeah. Something that does not belong there.
Something that does not belong. Yeah, Amanda's like, I've seen it before. Not that scary.
I'm used to Detroit. That's how it was.
Yeah. Just
Which
it's a waste.
You could, you could argue that like that kind of apocalyptic kind of spookiness occurs, but I think I'm desensitized to it. I can see that that would be creepy though. Yeah.
There is strange text given to you without any context. People slipping you notes, not knowing who you are, what job you have, but they're trying to tell you something, and they're scrawled in like, if you were on mushrooms, this is how you would write, right? Like, it doesn't really make sense, but there's something there. There's something there that does make sense.
Writing.
Stressed writing. Yep. I was at this bus stop in New Zealand once when I was living there, and this guy handed me a note, and he said, "Hey, this is my website." And I went, "Oh, okay, thank you." And I turned it over, and it was just like random mathematical equations and just nonsense. And then he started to tell me as I was reading it, he said, "Oh, that's about Michelle Obama, how she's hiding the nukes in her vagina." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So that's what this game reminded me of immediately when I saw this note that I got. I was like, "Oh yeah, did this guy make this game?" And of course, your electronics randomly start going off and on or doing other weird stuff as you're working. So those are the spooky tropes. I don't want to give away too much. Maybe I've already given away too much because this game did recently come out, Dead Letter Department. It's currently sitting at a 96% on Steam. The story is great. I would pick it up for sure if you're into these horror games or if you like typing. Maybe.
Yeah, because it's a typing game at heart.
It is a typing game at heart, yes. And it is a game that reminds me of Bad Jobs, and I wanted to ask you guys, this is a type of game, right? Like Drain, Unclog, Simulator, Supermarket Simulator. Do you guys like these games that remind you of just bad menial jobs?
No.
To me, it depends on the job. Like, I think that there is value in a job like Power Wash Simulator because of the zen it brings a lot of people.
Power washing's fun, though, in real life.
Well,
that's not a bad job.
It's still, but that again, though, this is all relative, right? That could be super boring and menial to some people. And then maybe they get wet and they don't like that their shit smells like mildew and everything like that, right? Like, we don't know if that's actually a great job or not. We can think that it might be a good job because to me, something like a supermarket simulator actually sounds like super fun because I'd meet all these random ass people and that's the part that's fun. Lots of people love Overcooked and I fucking hate it because it brings me back to when I was an expedite at a super busy, super stressful, very famous place in Detroit, and how many cigarettes I had to get through the day because it was so stressful. And so I play Overcooked and I just like I'd get triggered to those times. And I'm like, how is this a high rated game? Why do people like doing this? So I think it depends, right? And so like, I don't know. I think that for some things it can, I think that like with the checkpoint games too. Those also can be definitely jobs, like being a guard and just checkpointing, papers, please, these kind of things. Like I like those games a lot, but there are a lot of
Right.
simulator games where I'm like, absolutely not.
I think some of these bad like games about bad jobs are fun for people who didn't ever have to do that job.
Yeah,
That's
for
a
sure.
very fair point. Yeah.
I did love working at a supermarket though. Like, I mean, I was 16 and I had no bills to pay, but like fond memories. So maybe also people who have fond memory, like, oh, I ice cream scooped as a 14-year-old teen. How great. But then there's like a 50-year-old who's doing that. And they're like, I'm so tired of scooping ice cream. Like, this sucks. So
It's accountant simulator.
Yeah, accountant simulator. Yeah. Anyways, that's Dead Letter Department. Amanda, you played a game that just came out too, and
yeah, I played High on Life 2. This is from Squanch Games. It's same group, same kind of people that come from, you know, Rick and Morty and Trover Saves the Universe and High on Life 1, obviously. Guys, I want to love this game so much. And it's funny because we've had many conversations about not relying on bugs and not talking so much about performance issues. But this game is sitting at a mixed rating on Steam. And rightfully so.
64%.
Rightfully so. You want to know why? Because I think it's a twofold factor thing. I think there's two things going on here with this. I think genuinely there are a lot of performance issues that desperately need to be addressed by the devs on this game. I think there's a lot of code,
bugs and
10,000%. Yep.
And
well,
stutters.
no, dude, they're bad. They're game breaking. So like my recommendation for this game is that just to too long didn't read kind of it. This game is incredible. Buy it, but buy it after they fucking fix it because it's not really playable in a lot of ways. I've put in probably about 8 hours and it was a fucking struggle and I had to do a lot of troubleshooting to get to that point. And I'm at a point now where I wish I could play more. I love it. I think it's hilarious. It's super fun. But it's such game-breaking performance issues now that I cannot play it. It's giving me migraines to try and play it now. So it's a problem. And these are things like when I first started playing it, it crashed probably every like 15 to 30 minutes. Frustrating. That's annoying. I found out that there is this thing going on where NVIDIA has a new driver update. If you update your driver to the latest one, and some of the games that are made with Unreal Engine 5 right now are clashing with that new driver update. So that's actually something that could happen to a lot of games, but I think it is impacting this game specifically too.
You might have to roll back the driver.
So I did, and then it allowed me to play for another like 2 hours or so. But now there's this thing that keeps happening and it keeps increasing where if I look at one gun or if I'm shooting at one guy, there's almost like huge blocks of the game that is like frozen frames and then clashing with other ones. So it looks like this crazy ass like glitch effect back in the day of like Hacker Man.
Buggy game you've ever played, would you say?
One of them. Yeah, it really is. It's off, like it's horrible. And it's such a fucking bummer because now I'm going to get into why this game is awesome.
Nice.
Is there any chance that all the bugs are intentional and they're part of a joke?
Big joke. Yeah.
I kind of doubt it because it's like it's straight up. It feels like nails on a chalkboard right in the middle of when they want things to happen. It's
not
like in
joke.
the middle of not a funny joke. I don't think it's intentional. I think it's something that is a glaring problem that they need to fix. And when they fix it, this game's gonna be incredible because it's a action-packed shooter where your guns, they're an alien species in the game. They're called Gatlins and or Gatlians, and they talk to you while you shoot. And each gun has a kind of primary shooting thing of different weapons. Like there's one gun, her name is Sweezy, and she is sassy, and I love her. And she shoots and looks so much like the Needler from Halo. So there's that. And then her special ability is she'll create this huge bubble that freezes time. And all the guns have this like utility ability that also help in fighting too. So her freezing in time thing you can actually use for some of these blobs you find that blows them up, and now you can bounce on them. So it helps with like the jumping platform mechanic that's in this game as well, because there's a lot of times where you got to jump platforms, and if you fall to your death. And so she helps with that. And there's like some of the weapons are just awesome. There's Knifey, who's this like Australian kind of jarhead, and he loves to hunt, he loves to kill, and the knifing in this game is so like, it's so well done because you also have a skateboard. So in a way, instead of like holding down shift to run and go fast, you hold down shift and you activate your skateboard, and you can do tricks with your skateboard and like ride on railings.
The guns,
but then
the skateboards don't talk to you?
No, the skateboards don't talk to you. It's just a
So
skateboard.
there's Gatlians, but there's no Skatelians?
Yeah, there's no skatelians.
Sorry,
so
I'm
weird. Yeah.
getting lost in here. I feel like the skateboard should talk. Sorry,
Right,
keep going.
They should. It'd be cool,
Ride
but you
on
know
me,
what they
mama,
do?
ride on me.
On me, mama.
But you know what's great about the skateboard is that you can do this thing where like if you're holding down shift and then I think you hit like F or something when you go up to an enemy, you will launch the skateboard at their face and it boomerangs back to you. And then you can jump and like get rid of the distance and then drive in the knife. And it is like, and then you hear like, oh, fuck yeah.
I love this
So-
idea that the weapons are characters in the game.
Yeah. And they're good. They're full-fledged characters. Like I just met this one gun. His name is Travis. He seems to be going through a divorce, and your whole mission is that you get drunk and party with him and play Dance Dance Revolution and darts with him until he invites you onto a cruise ship. And like this game is the humor, the story in this game is top notch. I'm really conflicted. I think all of them are super cool in different ways.
Right.
I think in terms of personality, my favorite is definitely Knifey. I think he's hilarious with how
Nice.
much he just wants to stab. It's super funny. I really like using Sweezy for the actual gun herself. And then there's another one named Sheath who was really kind of crazy to get because he was another bounty hunter, because you're a bounty hunter, right? And he was another one that was going after you. So he was kind of like this mini boss that you had to fight. And then when you knocked him down, he's like, I don't want to lose my kill streak. He's like, just cut off my head and put me in my gun. And you're like, what? And so then you're sitting there and you have to cut off his head and shove it in a battle rifle, and then now you get him as a gun, like and because he didn't want to die and lose his kill streak. It's so silly, but he's like very calm, very like John Wick, very calm, calculated, collected, professional. But he's good, and he's pretty cool. But the story behind this game is basically so in High on Life 1, you're the humans, and there was like this kind of group, this almost gang that like kind of wanted to eradicate and take humans and kill them all. And so in High on Life 2, first off, they start you in a museum that is from your home and your old world. So they do this really cool tie-in from High on Life 1 to High on Life 2, where when you start in the second one, you go through the museum of what happened in High on Life 1, which is so great because if you've never played High on Life 1, you will learn a lot of the backstory that way. But if you did play it, it's this beautiful like little egg, like all these like little hidden eggs and things of what went on, or like a good reminder, right? And
I like a
they've kept so much
diegetic way of going over past events.
We're so done with last week on High and Life, put that shit in the game and make me watch
or just
it.
some long cutscene.
Yeah, but it's great. And so with this one, the thing is that there's this big pharmaceutical company that's coming in and wants to take and farm humans and synthesize them down into pills so that way then aliens can take those pills and get really high using humans.
That reminds me, when I lived in Vietnam, at the store, they would have these pills, this medicine you could buy that was literally capsules full of ground up baby sheep.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah. So in New Zealand, the family I was staying with, it's like, what do you guys do? Like they seemed like they were well off, not like super rich, but like, they were enjoying life and they went to fancy restaurants a lot, and they had a deer antler farm, and they just took the antlers when they fall off, and they ground them up into pellets and they sold them to Asia as all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
They're supposed to help with your fertility and masculine energy. And
yes. Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, in this game, similarly. And it was crazy seeing like there's propaganda, and this game, I think, does things really well in a very similar vein that Rick and Morty did, of like creating this really fleshed out world, right, that you're in. So there's all these like little tiny random things where if you're not looking, you'll miss them. But if you're looking, they're very funny. Like, there's all these TVs in the city that you're in, and they have different ads and different shows on them that are really funny. So you could just stop and watch, and you're watching some guy with 9 arms trying to do like a cooking YouTube channel. And and all this like kind of crazy side stuff. But also they were showing propaganda to like try and convince all the aliens that it's not morally wrong to kill humans to turn them into pills to take. And it was like, you know, originally we thought that the human species was intelligent, but turns out their brains are incredibly tiny. And it's showing like an infographic where it's like the brain is like the size of a quarter. And so you are a human bounty hunter, and your sister is a part of this huge resistance to fight this pharma and to try and save humans. So that's kind of the premise of the story. And you're convincing other bounty hunters to like join your cause. And so that's been pretty fun and pretty cool. But this game has got like so much comedy, so much fourth wall comedy as well too. There was one moment where I walked away from my computer to like grab something to drink, and I can even hear through my headphones like, oh yeah, just you know, I'm a fan of a long pause, but this is a real long pause. You all right there? You doing okay? Like the guns are talking to you like, what are we doing? Are we moving or what? And so I've always loved that kind of fourth wall comedy.
And there's something, correct me if I'm wrong, you were talking about a gun has sex with your mom, and that's how this, you're looking at me blank. So this is completely fabricated. Okay, never mind. How does the game start? How does it actually start you? You're saying you lose your powers. I feel like you were telling me this before. You lose your powers from the first game and go to the second game.
Well, no, I can't remember exactly. Like, I mean, you start in the second game inside of the same house that you lived in the first game.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that the game truly starts, like the tutorial, is just crazy. It's like constant cutting of scenes of just like all of a sudden you're now on the street and you're fighting this massive Godzilla looking creature. And then it cuts to the scene where you're on clearly a Jimmy Fallon, like late night Jimmy Fallon ripoff. It was like late night with Jimmy. And like the guy's asking about you being a hero and saving like the world and saving this Godzilla. And like, that's how they're teaching you how to play the game. And then all of a sudden it cuts to you're in a limo and it's telling you where you're going. And it's just like this absolute chaos. But, no, you essentially like you have your sister, and I think your parents died a long time ago.
So no one seduces your mom.
No, I don't think so. I don't think anybody seduces.
I just wonder the logistics of like a gun having sex with your mom.
I was thinking on the TV show, do they have like a Maury? Like, who's the father? And it's this kid who's half gun, half human.
I think the Gatlins, like since they're such an entirely different alien species, yeah, I highly doubt they'd be able. There is a moment where they kind of comment on that though, like when you're kind of hanging out with the guy Travis who's going through a divorce, which he's married to another gun, by the way. He had bought the like I think they called it the like revive your romance package on like the cruise ship. And you walk in and it's this room that's filled with flowers and this big bed and it's hearts. And like he makes a comment like, oh, yeah, I guess do you want to share a bed and have like a bro nap buddy? Like have a good nap. He's like, I don't even think guns and humans could mix. I don't even know how we would do that. But we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Like Jan would be so upset. It's so funny. Her name was Jan. And there was like, for him too, there were so many options where you would try to talk to him. And no matter what you selected, he would just always be like, why is Jan leaving me? Why? Jan, don't leave me. Like, no matter what I selected, like,
Very
it was
sad.
just, it's very sad, but also, like, very funny because that whole scene in the cruise ship thing, like, it was really cool because there's, like, you know, the whole premise is that basically you are trying to take out whoever's going to make this happen in Big Pharma of killing humans. You're saving humans. That's the whole point of this. And, they had these two bosses that I got to fight, and one of them was a politician, and that whole process was very hilarious. You get in this like RV spaceship, and then you go down to, they called it Con Planet, I think, and it's a planet filled of conventions, and you had to hop from convention to convention to get to it was like Human Con, where everybody was dressed up like humans, and the politician was supposed to make a speech on why we should farm humans. But you had to get through like they had one that was, it was like parking spot con, where everybody's just driving trying to find a parking spot, and so you're skateboarding around fighting people trying to steal parking spots, and every time your RV comes in it gets stolen, and like everybody's all pissed off. And then you go to Murder Con,
The Costco
which was
parking lot
like
con. Yeah.
oh, for real, yeah. But MurderCon was super fun because you had to pretty much only use knifey, or you had to use some of the weapons laying around. And it felt like if you've ever been to a paintball, indoor paintball place or an indoor laser gun kind of place, it was very much like that. There's all this neon graffiti. Everything's all dark and black and like, but lit up and glow in the dark. And you're shooting each other trying to get a high score.
Of you, Amanda. Beautiful lighting, you know, professional. You put that shit on LinkedIn, and the quote underneath is, "I love MurderCon." I'm just thinking that. Yeah.
And there were stands that had T-shirts giving away like "I love MurderCon." Like it was very funny and looked like a real convention. But what was crazy to me is like fighting this politician boss was probably one of the most wild, exciting, and craziest boss fights I've ever had of any video game I've ever played.
That's so cool to hear. And it sucks that we're in mixed because of technical issues, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like
it's such a bummer.
The bad reviews are primarily focused on the tech issues, not on the actual content of the game.
Yeah. That's why I really hope they fix it, because this game is really amazing. And like, to continue on with the fourth wall comedy and why like this boss fight was just so crazy is that apparently this politician's like little trick that he had is that he could shrink himself like the Honey I Shrunk the Kids and turns into this tiny little guy running around. But then he had like Secret Service agents in his pocket that he could launch out of him like Pokeballs, like Pokemon. And so you're like fighting him, but then he jumps up on you and you look down at your body and he climbs into your suit, and then your little like your suit has its own personality too. And it pops up and he's like, "Hey, he's inside of me. He's coming inside of me." And then all of a sudden the politician pops up on your screen and he's like, "Yeah, try and find me in your settings, bitch." And so then you like you have to literally hit escape, go to your settings, like you're going to change the display, and you can see him hovering over different things, and you have to try and smash him with your mouse cursor to get him out of your suit. And he's going to like where the language is, and then as you're smashing him, you're changing the language of your fucking game. I have never in my life would have imagined a boss fight that takes it to the settings. And then there's all these little mini games inside of it, like your main hub that you go to when you're done with these missions looks like a Chuck E. Cheese from the 90s. All 90s, like retro carpet, everything's like neon and extreme and cool fonts. And then they have this whole upper level that's all arcade games. And you can find the actual arcade, almost like an N64 cartridge in the game that you're playing in all the other missions, and bring it back home and then put it into that arcade so that by the end of the game, you can have an entire arcade of actual games that you could play that are little mini games. Like they reminded me of like Donkey Kong. I saw that. There was one that's like Mortal Kombat where you're fighting and you can play them. And so it's like, I love all of the games inside of games. And then the fourth wall, like it just feels like such like an entirely like creative masterpiece that is getting crushed underneath like, I don't know if it's poor code, but poor performance. Like, and that's what just really sucks. It's such a bummer. So I can't recommend this game enough, but wait until they fix it because it's busted.
I feel like between Slay the Princess and High on Life 2, these this episode is focused on super creative, out of the box sort of games.
Yeah, for
Totally.
sure.
Which I love. Yeah. Dang, I didn't think I'd want to play High on Life 2 after you talked about it. And even though it's buggy, I kind of want to give it a go.
Yeah.
No, I definitely want to check this game out too now.
Yeah.
My jaw was dropped so many times with this game because of just like the cool things they did. Like in the other boss fight, you're trying to kill this billionaire asshole, and he decides to have a murder mystery like event where he dies, and you're like, what? I was supposed to kill you and you died, and now I had to actually solve this murder. Like, and so then you go through having to investigate everybody and determine who like was the murderer. And it's just, and very funny. Like there's so many good jokes in there, and just,
So there's so many different types of gameplay included in this game as well. It's not just a shooter game. It's got all kind of elements.
It really does. Yeah. Cause even the skateboarding, like I spent like a good 30 minutes just skateboarding around because I was having so much fun with the skateboard. And they've got all these ramps and all these different things. And I was like, oh, it's Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. Anyway, but like it was such a fun time. And just, yeah, I really, really hope that they come out with an update where they have fixed a lot of these game breaking bugs. Cause it's very game break and it's very jarring. Like after that murder mystery, I had to fight another boss who was on this like weird shark looking creature with all of these.
I feel like you're giving away maybe a lot of the game. I don't know.
Too much? Too much? Okay, yeah, spoiling too much? Yeah.
Yeah, it's still brand new. People haven't had a chance to play, especially since it's buggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's sorry
We
to
should
give
leave
away so many
some
spoilers,
mystery.
but all I'm getting at is that like unfortunately like you get to a certain point into the game where it's so not playable. So it's such a shame, but I hope that they fix it, and I can't wait to check out even more of it because I'm reading too that there's like 15 to 20 hours in this game, like in just the main story, and they do have all these other things that you can get sidetracked with. There are all these little side quests and things like that too. So I wonder how long it would take when you add in all of those factors, or if you wanted to complete everything. I'd imagine it would be, 40 hours maybe into this game, but just 15 to 20 hours is core gameplay. And so I hope they fix it because
That's a
sure.
great
I'm having a lot of
length
fun.
for a focused single player campaign, in my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's what I played. So, I'm kind of curious as to what do we want to play, guys? I'll start again with Taylor. What do you want to play?
Yeah, so I'm looking into Mechwarrior 5 Clans. This is a standalone follow-up to the game Mechwarrior 5 Mercenaries, which came out a few years ago. This game has a proper campaign and story to follow along with, rather than in Mechwarrior 5, you were just taking on these like random contracts and making money to improve your mechs, and then do other random contracts and like build replica houses. But there wasn't really a big story to follow along with, and it just didn't hook me. Whereas Clans looks like it actually has a proper story, and so I think it will hook me. Plus, just this time period in the BattleTech universe of the clan invasion is super interesting to me. It's like a really cool part of the setting. So I'm just kind of really hoping for, like I said, a more robust campaign, hopefully a bit better of a mech lab with some more customization and equipment and weapon options than they had in Mercenaries. Because like even Mechwarrior Online, which is considerably older, it has a much more robust mech lab. So like,
and that's really in my mind, and I'm not any expert on these mech games, that's really what you want. You want to like customize the mech. That's why we're here, right? Like,
exactly. It's a huge part of the game, and you like setting your armor values on different limbs, and like, do I want to do one large laser, or would I rather have two medium lasers?
Exactly. The sort of questions you ask yourself every morning right after breakfast. It's just basic stuff.
Yeah, it's constantly on my mind.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's also on Game Pass, so that helps. But
Nice.
yeah, I'll be playing some Mechwarrior 5 clans and let y'all know if it does have those improvements.
Sweet. Cool. I would like to play Laysara Summit Kingdom. This is like a limited space mountain city builder with an anno logistics twist. As you go up the side of the mountain, different crops and different animals like to live in different zones. And, the people at the top of the mountain, the people at the bottom of the mountain produce, and vice versa, and in between. And, then you have your different classes of people. And, of course, the richer people like to live on the top of the mountain because the less is better views. Better. That's what drives a lot of human pricing and class is just my house on the hill has the better view and your house in the valley has the shitty view.
Elevation based city building is such an interesting idea.
Yeah, it is. And they executed it really well when I played this in early access in 2024. It was a long time ago.
Wow.
And it's coming to 1.0 February 27th. So in 5 or so days from recording this episode. And I'd love to give it a serious whirl. And I'm looking for one thing as a dad with limited amount of time, lots of stuff on the go. I'm not a free play boy anymore. Everyone, I'd like to enter my new era, campaign. I'm in my campaign mode era. My CME, okay? Keep track of the acronyms. I want a story. Big campaign guy. I want, hey, mission 1, this is how this stuff works. And at the end of the mission, I want a story and I want to use all the different buildings. And that's what I'm looking for in Laysara Summit Kingdom. And that is what they said they have prepared for their 1.0 release. So I'm excited to dive in.
That sounds awesome.
Very cool. That sounds very cool. I want to play a game called Guardians of the Wild Sky. It's a crafting survival game that honestly reminds me so much of if you took Ark and Atlas and Pal World and combined them all together, because it is this beautiful high fantasy kind of world, basically all up in the sky. There's these huge floating islands, and
I love that setting, by the way. Favorite setting,
I do too.
Floating
It's
islands.
Beautiful. Yep. Floating islands, and you can create and build airships that function a lot like the ships that we had in Valheim. And so you can create them, you can fly from island to island on a big, huge, almost pirate-looking ship.
This reminds me of this one game that was came out in the Xbox 360 era. That was also like island hopping, floating island hopping, and I love that game.
And to get specific with the floating islands, I don't think it counts if there's land underneath. It needs to be ocean or some sort of impassable terrain.
Right. Yeah.
The islands need to be islands that you
the
can't
only space that you
exactly.
Can be
on. Yeah. Because there's some worlds where there's floating islands in the normal ground, and I'm like, well,
like
not
Pandora
doing it for me.
from Avatar.
Never heard of her.
Yeah.
Who? No, sorry.
Well,
Avatar
with
movies?
these. Oh yeah.
They have the floating islands, but there's ground underneath them.
Yeah.
So with the floating islands here, some of the islands do almost look like they have like waterfalls that go to another lower part of the island, but the whole thing itself is still a floating island. So it's really well developed in terms of just how beautiful the landscape and stuff is. But you basically fight and collect various creatures called guardians. They have a whole bunch of them, and some of the guardians do other things, like they might glide, or they might basically have this like grappling hook kind of mechanic. They could be a mount for you. They could be assigned at your base to collect resources, so that way while you're off doing other things, when you come back, there's already a lot of those mats.
It's like the Pal World sort of thing.
Exactly. That's like the Pal World part. But there's also like some decent fighting mechanics and things like that with there. And the building itself is really cool. I did get to play the demo a little bit, and the building feels very intuitive. There's a lot of like creative diversity of how you can make your place look. There's a lot of creative freedom in how you build. Like you can completely adjust. Like a lot of times with these games, there's like the snapping mechanic, and sometimes that snapping can be really frustrating. And I could see that being a problem here too, but you can really get very nuanced with the building that you have here with this. You can kind of have your building on a slight angle and create like this turning kind of effect on your building if you wanted to have somewhat of like a semi-dome wall if you wanted something like that. So I think it's going to allow this creative freedom to really build some awesome places. You can play with up to 5 people as your friends and stuff, and there's different servers, different worlds that work a lot like what reminds me of Valheim. And I believe your character can go from server to server and world to world, which is cool. And also, I think like Valheim. So what is to me the most fascinating part about this so far is that they have a demo out until March 2nd. And I don't know if I've ever seen a developer do a demo quite like this, which is basically that they're like, the whole game is free for you to play. And we give you 8 hours. And what you do in those 8 hours is whatever. But it's 8 hours per server. So you could just server hop and keep playing. And you get 8 hours in a world. But nothing is restricted. Nothing is behind a demo wall. Like, that is the whole game that you get. And it's just a time constraint for the demo, which is fascinating.
They must really believe in what they have. And they think you're going to buy it. Yeah.
It is good. And there is a story to it. You do talk to people like, and so that's kind of, I don't know. I'm really excited about this. I feel like it's really promising. And, you know, one of our longtime listeners, the Lotion, was asking, when's the next game that we're all going to dive into and like get consumed by?
Guardians of the Wild Sky.
And I'm like, I don't know. And then I saw this game and I was like, maybe I'm biased, but maybe me. Maybe this game. Maybe the Guardians of the Wild Sky. But it seems super promising. We'll see. There are also, too, some buggy issues with it, but they're still developing it. So it's still going on. But that's it. That's all I wanted to play. So let's, that's a show, guys. So let's move on to... what's our community up to? Gotta give a shout out every time to our executive producer, Truthbringer. Thank you, Truthbringer, for always bringing it. It's great. Thank you. And Christian.
Yes. Listener questions and corrections are coming up. We had a lot of comments and questions come in this week, so we'll probably get to some next week. Time Killer B asks, what is your dream PC setup? One that I'm so not technically minded, a PC that runs. And when I open a Chrome tab, that tab doesn't freeze. And when I open up a city builder game, I can put it on max graphics and just sort of enjoy it. So whatever technical, you tell me the specifications, I'll build the PC, like whatever that is.
Give me like 64 gigs of RAM, give me top of the line CPU, give me like a 5090 and couple decent monitors, and I'm good to go, man.
Yeah, and no RGB, a couple monitors. I could use a new boon arm. I don't know if I'm really dreaming. I would like a new sticker on my boon arm. My chicken is sort of falling flat. Yeah.
Yep. I think for me, I'll go bougie. I would love the sickest PC setup. I've seen all these like really cool ones where like the PC is in the desk in a way, and I gotta have a desk
sounds
that
like
does
such a pain to work on, though.
Yeah, true, but this is my dream, right? Who knows if it'll become a reality?
There's no pain in dreams. Actually,
there's no pain in dreams.
Never mind. Yeah.
But it's got to be one that can also be standing. I love to sometimes sit and I love to sometimes stand. So I want a desk that can do both. I'd love 3 monitors. And then I kind of want like a whole wall of plants or at least some sort of audio blocking thing. So that way then I can kind of have that insulated experience when I'm trying to record and speak in my microphone and everything.
I'd also love like a 5 or 7.1 surround sound system.
Oh, yeah. Oh, now we're really dreaming.
Nice.
From Amanda's Expo video, it was incredible. This comment was originally in Portuguese, by the way, so this is translated. It was incredible to see my dear niece, Gabby Rose and Philippe giving their best in this project that will be a success. I'm very proud. Of course, that is the result of the video game team that Amanda did find at Vancouver Expo, and you could learn more about that on YouTube. And I wanted to include this because I just think, man, your family, they're really the people that believe in you the most, right? They look at everything you do with these glasses, and that sort of support is, or at least it has been what has kept me going on like a creative project before, just to see how the people closest to me want to support me. And even though if I know it's not going the best, what they see is, wow, someone a part of my family is doing something cool, and all I want is to see them succeed.
That's so great. Yeah, that support coming from a family member. And just for reference, the game that they're talking about is Thrive.
Yep, from Harkoon Games.
Yep. Okay, Taylor, what are we plugging this week?
Yeah, so coming up right after this episode releases is Steam Next Fest. And so we're all going to be trying out all the cool demos that come out and talking about them. So, head over to Steam Next Fest, download some demos, and talk about them with us. We love to talk about these kind of things with the community. So, yeah, please join us with Next Fest.
Yeah, I love taking a screenshot of all the demos I download. Be like, this is my Next Fest roster, and then I get to
compare
8
rosters.
of 20 of them. Yeah, compare rosters. Yeah,
let's do it. Yeah, and join us when we do that. But yeah, awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. My name is Amanda, and joining us today was Christian and Taylor. And tune in next week because Taylor's going to be stomping around in giant shooty robots and Mechwarrior 5 clans, and everybody's going to be checking out demos for Next Fest. Christian, what are we listening to?
The main theme song from High on Life 2, and my guns say goodbye.
So chill.
A gun that shoots hooks called Captain Hook. No?
Ooh,
musical
that's a good
hooks.
one.
It shoots musical hooks.